We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Are you serious? Like, we at season 7, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Yeah, season 7. Magic number. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna go in depth with that, but yeah, this will be a very positive season. I don't know why and what's making me say that, but everything's changed. Everything is a lot different. I know the title you'll still see the podcast about sports and stuff, but yeah, I ain't gonna get no sports. Correction, you will still get sports because this is still called a podcast about sports and stuff. Just want to add that in there. I'm still, like I said, stuff is very fluctuating now. I found that the connection with things is to get people to talk, as well as me taking time to talk. So you'll notice it, especially when you hear the first few episodes of this season. But it's just about sitting down and just having good talk, good conversation. Pass the message. Y'all know they ain't going nowhere. If you know, you know. If you've been around for a while, you already know how we give it up. But just hang in there. The content's amazing. The moves are even more amazing. And just put yourself in the right headspace to get this information. So hope y'all enjoy. What is up? What's going on? Episode 379 of The Pass is here. I'm your host, BT. I got a unique title for this one because, everybody talk about basketball, or this famous phrase, ball is life. Well, my guest, he and I have our own term, and sports is life. And what I always do as a first-time guest, I let them introduce themselves, and then we get into it. And he's no stranger to me, but he's going to be new to y'all, so I'm going to let him do his intro, and then we're going to get to it.
Yo, so what's up, everybody? My official name is Jarrell, but I go by Nahshon. That's for some religious reasons, right. Like BT said, me and him go back a very long ways. Very long, like high school days.
Yeah, we almost 25 plus.
That's you. I'm 20 or 21 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, because this year would have been 23 years out of high school. So yeah.
Good grief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're old.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. Look, when 40 pulled up, I was like, go back. But I mean, I'm thankful. I'm still here, so everything's good. Right. So like I said, Nahshon, Jarrell, this my bro. Like we got a good backstory on so many levels of just talking like sports, talking life. We're co-moderators of a sports group, and we've had the sports group running over a decade almost.
Yeah.
And to give perspective, it's like where the sports group was versus where it is now. It's almost like we're having to almost like reintroduce people to like, all right, I get it. You want to come in zesty, hot, aggressive. All of that's fine. And Nahshon know with me, I don't got no shame. If it's going left, I'll come in. Because I usually don't talk a whole lot in the group. But if it go a little wild, I'm like, all right, look, I understand everybody got their feelings about different things. But we're adults. Like we don't need to, right. It's nothing wrong with disagreeing. But let's make some, let's act like we got some sense. Like
it's like we're the rowdy kids, and then you're just like the parents, like, okay, everybody settle down, children.
Right. And then it's like, but everybody knows that I literally try not to do it because I understand, like, everybody got their opinion. Everybody want to be very detailed in what they say. And I got no problem with that. It's just when it gets to that point where it's like, all right, now I can talk about it now. We're gonna unpack it more in the show. It's almost like the Shannon Skip bit.
Right.
Where it's like, you now have taken shots at people on a personal level. And It's like, wait, hold on. We're way off topic. We need to come back to where we're at. So that's why I always will come in and be like I'm I'm the nice, nasty moderator, but I'm also like, look, I ain't got time. And then Kenneth, he don't got no shame.
Yeah, right.
Now, if that's talking about a podcast. You get him on the show. Between the two of us, matter of fact, I think the interesting four, if I were to ever to do it, would be you and Lonnie because of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh beef.
Oh, yeah.
And Kenneth and I because of the Carolina-Atlanta beef.
Oh,
because it would just be so much back and forth on that. And honestly speaking, I would not do it at the library. I'll just keep that a buck.
Right.
So that's the abbreviated yet clear intro with that. So Nahshon and I talked offline. We've always had group chats going. We've had text talks going for years. I gave him what I call my icebreaker. So this is gonna kind of be like our startup of. I'll tell y'all now, it's going to mostly be a sports podcast, but this is my icebreaker that I found to be like a good thinking piece for like anyone to answer starting off the show. Since we're older, we're going to take it back to that time when you had a 5-disc changer. The rule is, I'm starting like that. You got a 5-disc changer. You get to pick 5 CDs that go into this disc changer. The rule is you literally have to just hit play and let all 5 discs play non-skip. What's your 5?
All right. So also for context, alongside the sports group, we also have a music group that we've been running. This one is maybe like 2 years old.
About 2 years,
or just about 2 years old.
A little bit 2 years, yeah.
So yeah, we get into all kind of stuff. And then we had the tech group. That didn't last too long.
Yeah.
Really, it was just me and you, basically.
That is true.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. It just popped into my head.
We might have to think about that because now that I'm more connected to tech, I could probably have a little more fun with that.
Right.
Because I think that'll be more of a think tank for some people. Because I think everybody's so afraid of tech, and now I'm like trying to get folks to understand like the difference. But my bad. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's an off mic discussion. But yeah, no, I'm glad you bring it up. I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
All right, so album 1, Clear Cut, The Blueprint, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Album 2, Lawrence Hill album. What is it? The Miseducation?
Yes.
That is a classic.
What? Always.
Yeah. Number 3 is kind of a doozy because it's a double disc.
Okay.
So are we counting that as 1 or 2?
You can count that. We count that as 1.
Okay, we'll count it as 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wu-Tang Forever.
Okay.
That is legendary.
Got you.
Number 4. Some people might not expect this from me, but I don't remember the name of the album, but it's Ari Lennox's first album.
Oh,
I cannot think of the name of it.
It's not the one with shea butter on it, is it?
I feel like it is.
Oh yeah, that album is fire.
Yeah, Ari Lennox in general is fire, man.
If you have a chance and she ever comes back, watch her concert, like her in concert.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, so you're talking about Shea Butter Baby, this one, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, Shea Butter. Yeah, because that first song on there, woo.
Yeah,
I got you.
And then the last one, Mastermind, Rick Ross.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. And the interesting thing, so I don't give people a hard time about a double disc because one of my 5, everyone knows I'm always say, is Stevie Wonder songs in the key of life.
Yeah.
I literally, that album takes me to a whole different place. But I like that 5. I like that. That's a solid, that's a dope 5. Like Ari Lennox, like, I might have to get out a full spin again because that's one that can go now. Like,
right.
And of course, it's so funny. The Blueprint. So the day the Blueprint released, you may notice, the day the Blueprint released was the day 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So it was like I was in school. I was at a community college and I was in school. I come out, everybody's in the lobby area. And I was like, oh, this is all this going on. And then like that later on that day, I remember going to like a record store. It might have been a Willie's. It wasn't the Willie's because anyone who's been in Richmond knows the Willie's, like on Broad. But this was like a Willie's store. And I went in there and I got the blueprint, and it was because I remember that album cover strict. I mean, I remember the packaging because it was like one of the few times I saw an album that was like blue. So no, that's a solid 5. I like that. But yeah, oh my God, the Music Escape. So Music Escape Haven. I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking on that group, and I feel bad because everyone who knows me knows I'm like the music addict of the group because I'm always throwing music. I can sit and find stuff on Spotify without trying, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me throw this in there and somebody will jam to it. So yeah, the music group, the tech group definitely got to come back because especially with the climate of tech and just kind of where it is. And like, we've already talked about the sports group. Right. So we've gotten our intangibles out of the way. We got all the light work out of the way. Now we're going to have some fun with this because we're in an interesting place with sports currently, with it being June, where football is ahead and basketball is behind, so to speak. The Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, quote unquote, the Spurs getting the first pick is going on. In your eyes, and having your fan hat on and just being transparent about it, how would you assess this past season?
This was a weird NBA season. And I say that because of the injuries and then the amount of people that are scoring over 30 points a game. Yeah. Which it started to become the norm now. Like, right. Go back to maybe 01, 02-ish. It wasn't that many guys scoring like at that clip. Nah. You might have had guys at like 27, 28, but now I think, man, it was over like 20, maybe 30 dudes scoring over 30 points a game.
There was some no-name cats. Yeah. It was a couple let me be clear. Anybody in the NBA can bust max. Let me make sure I'm open to that dialogue. However, a lot of guys who were making it, you looking at them and I'm like, you had 30 plus? Right. What was going on that day? Right. Random opinion, do you think, as you continue with this, do you think the league actually did drug tests on players when they were saying that? No. Okay. Because I feel like there was like that podcast / media brain real quick. I feel as though the league or media was starting to reach with stories because every so often it was like, oh, Jason Tatum had a 40 point game. He was drug tested by the league, and I'm sitting here like, what? Why are we? When it was the Jason Tatum one was one thing, but when they showed Donovan Mitchell, I was like, all right, okay, like what's going on? Right. So you said a weird season. Now, I'm gonna add to that a little bit. Looking at, because the finals was the talk. We had two of our members of the group that we had to make sure they weren't in witness protection. They were both mad. Lord. It was torture. It was treacherous, but I mean it's one of those things where you can have that conversation and thinking like, all right, it wasn't a bad. I mean, it wasn't the worst playoffs. I think it was so funny because there was a lot of talk of the media. They didn't expect the ratings to be what they were for people watching, and I was like, what y'all? It's basketball, right? The concern or the consensus was about, of course, the two big names, aka Steph and LeBron, not being in the finals. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's good for basketball, man, to have somebody else show up in the finals, especially somebody like Joker who can't jump over a curve. But somehow, some way, he's getting a triple-double every night. And when you go back and look at the highlights, you're like, damn, this dude is really like that. Yeah. But can't jump, can't run, just nothing.
Nah. So I caught on to something about Joker, and I think this is something with basketball some of us as fans do, but some of us don't take into consideration, is highlights will tell the story, but a game tells the tale. Yeah. And case in point, like when I looked at a couple, this was before they even got to the finals, just some of their games in the playoffs. Watching how Joker played, Joker is a very off-ball player. Yeah. Now, granted, he may bring the ball down, but you got Jamal Murray. Why do you need to bring the ball down? You have Jamal Murray, you have Michael Porter Jr., who are both pretty good ball handlers. Unpopular opinion, I think Austin Rivers still feel a certain type of way because he ain't on that team. But I digress. I digress because I've listened to some of his podcast rants, and I'm noticing like he's holding that grudge. I've been picking up on that.
So if Austin Rivers feels like that, imagine how Bones Highland feels.
Listen.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because he got traded for it was Reggie Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and I mean, think of if Bones, because I mean, the question was going to be because Bones was still on his rookie contract, so it would have been a factor of like being able to pay him, depending on how this offseason would have went, stuff like that. I personally think the team they have now is a better rotation. In just observing how they run it. And Malone just runs it. I mean, he's a simple coach. He's not like some out-of-pocket, chaotic coach.
Right.
I was watching, and I don't watch Gilbert's podcast. I need to or listen to it, but I do keep up with some of the like different messages they'll put out there. And one of the videos that showed up was him saying how he thinks coaching has changed. And I was like, yeah, like coaches, you're not getting the old school coaches anymore.
Right.
So it's nothing against the Popovich, I mean, if you may as well put Spoelstra in there.
Right.
Steve Kerr. Those are kind of your locks that are in their positions. But everybody else is kind of like, I mean, Nick Nurse won a championship 2 years later, gone.
Right.
Budenholzer won a championship, gone. Monty Williams to the finals.
Dwayne Casey, coach of the year,
gone. And it's a cutthroat game.
Right.
I'll ask you this, and this will be a fun little spinoff. Looking back now, could the league really hold that L on saying that Jokic should have got MVP for the regular season? Or you still think it's Embiid?
So I still think it's Embiid.
Okay.
I think what the voters do is they get like voters fatigue. Like a guy will win MVP back to back. And then that third time, it's kind of like, okay, we need to find somebody else because we're kind of tired of him right now.
Right. That's fair.
Like it happened to James Harden. It happened to Giannis, LeBron. It's one of those things. True.
Yeah. That's valid. There's a lot of times where, and my fluke one, and I ain't against it. Like I said, he got it, but it was also like, we could have gave it to somebody else. I still think that Nash back to back. I'm
not buying that.
I won't too wild by it because one of those should have been Shaq.
Exactly. It was the second one that should have been Shaq's.
Yeah.
Nash definitely earned that first one.
No. Nash was a dog. I mean, he played the game like he's one of those point guards who should get his credit. I'm surprised. I think he is in the Hall. I need to double check. But yeah, Nash got his credit. I'll give him that. Do we start with the tea now or do we start trouble later? Because I know I want to get into. You know what? I'm gonna hold it. Looking at this from what you've been able to see, how do you personally feel about this upcoming NBA draft class?
I don't think I'm too sold on this class. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool.
Even with Wemby, I'm not buying it because I'm looking at last year's draft class. Wemby is basically a more offensively gifted version of Chet Holmgren.
Right.
These dudes are 7 foot plus. They weigh like 10 pounds.
Right.
But I will say for Holmgren, I saw some pictures of him recently. So he put on a little muscle, which is cool. But Wemby's going to have to do the same thing. But the thing with Wemby is I'm looking at who he's going to. The Spurs have been beautiful with foreign players. That's one.
Right.
He's going to be disciplined. He's going to be an all-round good player. I'd say maybe 2 seasons in. But my really big concern is he has to put on some weight. I think the guy that I'm looking at most is Brandon Miller. Okay. I really like Brandon Miller.
Yeah. Miller's nice. I think Miller's a good. It's crazy because at first the draft boards had him as third.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's like possibly second, pending on what happens with trades because somewhere in these talks, rumors have talked about Zion wanting to trade, Charlotte trying to trade the pick, Portland looking to be involved with trades. So how teams trade could play a value in if Brandon Miller gets picked. But then everybody likes Scoot. Like Scoot's a good player. Yeah. I think Houston has the 4th pick, and we're looking at. I've kind of sold myself. We're getting one of the Thompson twins. I personally am okay with that. As a Houston fan, I've accepted because I've talked about it before about the team. We have no identity as far as basketball goes. Like I haven't watched this episode, but Jalen Green, I want to hear. I think Jalen Green has that ceiling that he can get to with basketball, and I don't like using that term because those are those draft triggering terms. Yeah. But I like Jalen Green as a basketball player overall. Yeah. Kenyon Martin needs to do something other than dunking. I'm sorry. Of course. Smith personally makes me cringe because he has the talent, but it's like the tough part about, and I understand 100% why John Wall was not wanting to play there because of all that went on. But it's like there's really no identity of like, not necessarily just like I'm the man, I'm gonna run this team, but it's more so like, hey, let's come together, let's play basketball, let's run our offense. Like you don't see that identity. Like there's teams in the NBA would makes them go, like, for instance, Golden State. People would look at Golden State and automatically say Steph. And I'm like, no, if you really know the team, it's Draymond. Absolutely. So that's why we'll talk about that too. That's why it's going to be interesting to see what Dunleavy does as GM. That's a bad move. Huh? That's a bad move. So, all right, let's hop into let's move it on the board. Like, because I want to hear your thoughts on, because I don't know much about him on a managerial or leadership level, because I haven't really heard him. I haven't heard him in the coaching talks. The only card that he has, which is obvious, is he's played in the league for a long time, and his dad was a coach. Yeah. So, and he's a Dookie. I mean, if you want to play those cards, I'm like, okay, that can give you a little bit of leeway, but I'm like, unless he has strong intel with Golden State, right? I don't really. I'm with you on that. Yeah. But where else are you at with him as a
I'm not buying Dunleavy for every reason that you said. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Golden State's owner, I go to Bob Myers like, look, here's a blank check. Whatever you want, whatever you need to do or you feel like you need to do, go do it and come back. Right. Because like you said, everybody's going to give Steph all the credit for this team, but really it's Draymond. Mm-hmm. And above Draymond, I would say Bob Myers. Yes. Of course, you're thinking Bob Myers is the one who drafted all them guys. Yeah. Trading for Iggy and drafting Poole and all these other guys. Like, people don't realize how important a general manager is to a team. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's more than just signing this guy to a big contract, not signing this guy. Yeah, because they could have. Bob Myers is a pure basketball genius. Like, look at what they've done. Yeah. Over, like, what was the first championship? 2015? Yeah, 2015. From 2015 to right now, he's been the best GM, and it's not even close. Right. Because they have four in that time span is pretty. Yeah. That's a pretty good number. I mean, that's a pretty good, like, run. Yeah. I mean, you had, because you look at it as, in that time they went to the finals 6 times. They lost to Toronto and they lost to Cleveland. Yeah. And it's so funny because the Cleveland championship was LeBron giving back to his hometown. Right. And Toronto was, and I've heard this on, I forgot what podcast it was, but how they explained it was so perfect. Kawhi going to Toronto was like a relation, like a fling. Yeah. Because it was like it happened, it went how it went. Right. And it's like, maybe we can get him to come back. And he was like, nope, I'm leaving. He goes to LA. And in my opinion, his load management got worse. It did. In LA. It did. I think I don't know if it's law of attraction, but him and Paul George can't stay healthy. Like, pod gods do not come for me. I promise what I'm about to say is genuine and it's from a good space. He's done more effort in his podcast than he has playing basketball. Paul George? Yeah. Yeah. And he's a good, like, the thing is, he's a good basketball player. Like, I don't want to take that for granted. I don't want to downplay his effort in his playing side. Right. But he's been out
a lot. And I mean, it's even worse because both players haven't really been on the floor for a full 82 game, like total 82 games.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now I got a question.
No. I like this. Is what I want.
Do you think the rule change with the eligibility for the postseason awards will kind of change guys' mind, specifically PG and Kawhi? So now it's kind of like, okay, if I want to be eligible for Finals MVP or whatever, I need to play at least 65?
Yeah, you got to play at least.
Yeah.
In this climate, yes, because now, and you and I have had this conversation numerous times, the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? So if you're looking at, which we're going to get into him in a moment, a player, say a Ja Morant, who, if you miss so many games and you're ineligible for different awards, that affects your signing bonus. That affects your signing bonus.
Exactly.
That affects your max. Yep. That affects your super max.
Yep.
It's a bigger domino effect. So to go back to the initial question, I think they're gonna try to and I asked this in the group one time, as far as who was like a more uninterested basketball or uninterested player of basketball, and Kawhi was on the list. So Kawhi, one way or the other, don't matter. PG has to do what he can to, I don't want to say build a legacy, but maintain his relevance in the sport, because we know PG's like that. Like PG was one of the few players that gave LeBron a run for his money in the playoffs. Because if you look at it, it was like he had to run in Indiana. Indiana started to decline. We saw it. We saw it, and we're seeing it before our eyes now. He goes to OKC, somehow makes an All-Star appearance, like really makes an impact with the Thunder, and then decides, no, I'm out. I'm going to LA. Right. And he goes to LA, and you can see it's like touch and go. Like, you're not getting, because we haven't seen a 50-game season out of Paul George in a while. Right. So if you're looking at it incentive based, they're going to want to play those games. The thing now that's tough about it is, and this is a stretch, but I'm going to reach for what I can say on this. I think that Kawhi, the injury in San Antonio with Kawhi affected him on so many levels, not just on a basketball level. It was like on a personal level, on a mental level. Right. And you're seeing it firsthand. Like, even when he was in Toronto, he played majority of the season. Yeah. There wasn't as much of a, oh, he's out because of this. Like, he played through everything. When he got to LA, and I joked on this every time, I was like, he looks like Sting in a wrestling match. Like, he's way up in the press box watching down over the players. I was like, bro, they gave you all this money just for you to sit there and be like, I can't play. But the other part of it too is it becomes mind over. It's like mind over matter, because you're trying to play, but if you mentally can't play, your body's, you're not gonna need to push your body, because you still gonna get your check, so you're gonna ride that wave. Right. But when the incentives come in of like you trying to be first team, because a player like Rudy Gobert could get first team All NBA and get a big check. But then it's going to be, well, he didn't have a statistically strong season. Well, who else can we give it to? Right. Everybody else injured, or everybody else missed the numbers. So I definitely see that being like a big deal. Ja's suspension, more games or less. Should he have got more games or less?
I said this in the group not even 24 hours ago. More. I felt like Josh should have got 41. Okay. And the reason being is, okay, so he already served the 8 games last season. Right. So then you come back and you do the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. You have to get more games. And if he was under David Stern, Lord have mercy.
Oh, Stern would.
Job would have been gone the whole season.
Stern probably would have OJ Mayo'd him.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't think OJ Mayo was playing. Yeah, OJ Mayo was out of the league before Silver got in control. Because when Stern was running it, He was like, "No, I'm sitting. OJ can't play no more."
That's the perfect last name for him, David Stern.
Yeah, he was
extremely stern.
Absolutely,
because I think Josh. I think 41 would have been appropriate.
Right.
And I hate to say that because he's coming up on, what is his max, like 230 or something like that?
He get a nice bag.
So this season he's gonna lose $10 million.
And he got a chance to lose like 60, right?
Yeah, the $10 million because of the 25 games. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't get to like make first team and all this other little crazy stuff, that's another 50 he could lose out on. So that 231 could turn into 175, 180.
And to your point, and that's what I always talk about with basketball consistently, is like, no one cares about your rookie contract. Your rookie contract is, it's a bag, it's money, but because players in the NBA get paid. I'm probably one of the few people in the group that goes to those contract pages, and I be looking at it. And I'm like, hold on, Chris Paul made $30 million this year. Yeah. Just like, you're near the end of your career, and he's still wanting to play another year, and someone's gonna give him another $30 million contract. And I'm not against it because hey, you earn that keep. But what I'm going with that is, you play that rookie contract out. Now you're trying to get your numbers to move.
Right.
Like, what's his name? Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks could have, even if they had lost. Well, I mean, they lost the series. But even if they lost the series and it didn't look as bad and him not being as vocal, he probably still would have a job in Memphis, as well as he would still possibly have gotten like a decent paycheck.
Yeah.
But when you run your mouth, when you do stuff that ain't beneficial, it puts you right where it puts you. I got two angles with T, and then we're gonna shift to NFL because I don't want to sound like I'm a NBA podcast, because I'm not. I'm gonna give you the leeway because both of these stories one is triggering and one is traumatic. Well, not traumatic. One is weird and one is like, why? Zion or MJ?
Oh, in terms of what?
Which topic we want to talk about?
Let's go Zion.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh man.
All right, so there may be some explicit content in this part of the podcast. It probably won't be because I'm in the library 1 and 2. This is the dumbest shit. So there's explicit content. So we got it out of the way. Anyway. Where do I begin with this story? People need to be aware of how they use social media. That's number one.
Right.
I'm gonna let you speak on it first because I have so much that like. I think I got into it a little bit on my show, but I didn't last week. So I'll let you give like your take about everything, and then I'm gonna see where I can kind of ease my thoughts in there.
So for those who don't know, Zion is, I believe the story is, he's engaged to, I think she's like a reality TV star or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they're having a child together.
Right.
So the pictures come out on social media. So here comes Mariah Mills. For those who don't know, Mariah Mills is a big time porn star. So Mariah Mills starts to spill everything. Oh, Zion, I just let you spit in my mouth the other night and we were together. Then she's like, oh yeah, I did stuff for you, non-sexual related. I helped you lose weight. I bought you this and I bought you that.
Right. So
Zion ignores it, but his fiance, she gave like some kind of small clap back. Mm-hmm. And it's just, oh my God, it's a hot mess. And for me, it was shocking because Zion, or at least I thought he was a good, quiet dude, but you got injured Zion, you got dunk on your Zion, and you got Pornhub Zion,
and you got shoe blown out Zion. Yeah, no, you're right. Wow. Okay. So everything you said sums it up. I'm gonna add some of my intricacies or funny parts of it that were like, why? I saw a video about it before coming in, and someone put a video up, and how they explained it was so perfect. It was like, yeah, so she works as a pizza delivery person. And I was like, yo, the fact that I'm gonna let y'all run wild with your imagination on that part alone. But it was them explaining the whole rundown, and like she literally went on Twitter and just like bashed him and old girl.
Yeah.
Because now her demeanor of it is she's pregnant.
Right.
And it's like, and let me be clear, because I want to make sure folks know with my podcast, this is not a tabloid, this is not a drama, none of those things. This is just a story because the person who's involved, or the player who's involved, ironically was in the same draft class with John Morant. As well as the fact that Zion, and this is me, this is my 2 cents about how you can see things change quickly. I mean, I'm going to use both of these players as an example. Now, I'm not sure of the exact city for Murray State, because it is HBCU. But you have Murray State, and then you go to Memphis. Mm-hmm. Whole demeanor, whole dynamic changes. Right. You have Spartansburg, South Carolina, Chapel Hill, or Cameron. Yeah. I mean, for Coach K Arena, and then New Orleans. Right. So you go to New Orleans, where it's the action of the action, because you pretty much down there in the Florida, New Orleans, Atlanta scene, vibe, life, whatever. Right. And I don't think there's enough meetings or because I think somebody brought this up in the group, and I could be wrong, saying, well, don't they do like different development events or meetings with players? And I was like, they can do all that stuff till you blue in the face. Some groupies are not your typical groupies, and some folks are going to be who they are. Now, I'm using that for the Zion's case. Like with Ja, there's a big lack of reading the room with him, in my opinion, because and this is like a general know-how with me. I'm like, so Thursday I went to an event. I recorded videos, made it like you were there at the event. You didn't see the videos until Friday because I'm not going to post the moment of, because I just don't feel like I need everybody to know what's to it. Second of all, and this has been my long-term, like, I've even written a status on this, and people think I'm always crazy when I say this. It's like, everything does not need to be live. Some things you don't need to share on a live. And if somebody's in the car going live, tell me in advance you going live, because I might have a bottle of Bacardi in my hand, unopened, in a bottle, out of the bag, and I'm working for a big company, and they looking at me like, so we had to fire you for this video, right? And it's like, I didn't post the video. Yeah, I know, but someone you are close to put the video out there, so we got the information. Same applies with John. I say all that to say, like, you have to be aware of the company you keep when it comes to being an athlete or just being a person in general. And that's what made that whole story just was like, bro, like I said, I don't care who she is and what she do or what the other girl do, none of that. Because like what's interesting to talk about full circle, because this happened to come up today. PJ Washington went through all that he went through. We'll go to Charlotte next. He went through all that with old girl. Yeah. They not together no more. But it's like the girl he's with now, you almost, it's like nothing even happened. And I'm like, right. I'm happy for him on that level. But it's also like, dang, he had to go through this messed up situation with homegirl. Right. And then you get with somebody that's like, y'all can sit here and do like y'all little videos of like, oh, name the basketball. I'm like, that's what you should be doing. That's how you should be having fun. Like, exactly. Or the Beal family. Like, Bradley Beal is the one person I've seen on TV. Him and I'll say Dame. They're like super family oriented when it comes to like how they handle media and just that level altogether. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping. I got a feeling Zion will get traded. I don't want to see it, but I'm also like, it's just a matter of the value. That's the biggest problem.
So I thought Zion was going to be moved at the trade deadline because if you remember, the Knicks started making moves. Mm-hmm. They had Barrett. They went and traded for
Cam.
Yeah, Cam Reddish. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you got all these Duke homeboys. And then there was somebody on that coaching staff that was connected to Zion. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. And like, this is going to be epic.
Right.
But then nothing.
Right. But the Knicks blew the chance to get a lot of players. Durant, yep. Mitchell.
Yeah.
Mitchell being in New York still would have been interesting to see. I mean, they got Jalen Brunson. I was happy for that because, obviously his dad coach there, but still. Yeah, I mean, it could happen, but I mean, it's going to come down to trading the right, being able to provide the right picks that aren't protected and all that type of stuff. So, all right. We both from this era of basketball. We loved him as a basketball player, but as an owner, it ain't work. It didn't. I mean, we saw it when he was in Washington with the whole him and Kwame thing. Like MJ decided to leave or give up his ownership percentage, and I think it's going to someone who's affiliated with J. Cole. Outside of LaMelo, let me take that back. Outside of LaMelo and Kemba pre-injuries, how would you assess his acumen or regimen as a? I know it's a loaded question.
Man, so first, we just gonna get this out the way.
Yeah.
MJ's the GOAT.
Right.
I want to hear LeBron.
Yeah.
I want to hear Kareem.
Right.
I want to hear Will. I want to hear none of that. Joe, MJ, 23. All right. Secondly, so when you texted me about this yesterday, I said I was gonna trash Jordan, and I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Jordan was bad. But we've seen worse owners in the NBA. Case in point, we just talked about the Knicks. James Dolan he is on one right now.
James Dolan care about that band more than anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Banning your legendary player. Anyway. So, MJ has been bad. He's goofed up on some picks. But I think if he would have kind of been not like a secret owner, but somebody playing the background.
Yeah.
Look, you're my GM, you're my this, you're my that. You go do your job. I'm in the background.
Right.
You hear so many people telling stories of Jordan's coming down from practices, shooting, and he's doing this with the team. Go be the owner, go put your name on the checks and just stay hidden.
Right.
We already know who you are. We've seen you for years. We know your stats. We know all of this good stuff. Just go play the background.
True.
Just do it.
Yeah, he didn't. No pun intended. Just do it. Best way to end it. New shoes coming out now. Never owned a pair of Jordans, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just won't. It won't. I think I attempted to this day. It's always a lifetime story. Like I had one weird experience on eBay where somebody was selling a pair of J's and I never got them, but it was intended to be because I was even when one of my friends, they didn't understand it. Matter of fact, Lonnie, because I was joking, but I was serious because I was like, I say everybody talking about breads. I'm like, what the heck is a bread? And then it was like, well, they black and red. I was like, why not just call them black and reds? I'm like, you're not doing too much. So Jordan as a player, hands down one of the most dominant players in the scoring element. I will say when it comes to dominance, I personally don't ignore it, but Shaq was that dude.
Yeah.
And I think to this day, I always will tell people, if you ever are unsure of someone wanting to play basketball and they're a big man, show them Shaq's birthday game against the Clippers when he had 60.
I forgot about that one.
It was literally the most painful thing watching. I think Olo Conde had just started in the league. I forgot who the other big man was. I don't know if it was Chris Kaman, but whoever the big men were that they had, it was like Shaq turned into a point guard on the post. Dang. Just doing these. It's so many. If a big man was given the option of having a bag, that would have been the example of having a bag at the time, because he just played. He just did everything fluid at the basket. It was almost like Kobe would have the ball, he would see Shaq, throw it into him, and everybody just stayed out the way.
Right.
There was no I'm a cut, and he did whatever he wanted to do.
Right.
Made a good amount of free throws, which was weird, but all of that being said, Jordan did what he did on the court. Off the court, again, room reading 101. If it didn't work too well with Washington, yeah, he came back and tried to play, but we know like that was kind of like there was an attempt to pass in the torch at that time if we remember basketball, because there was like, here it is, you got Kobe getting ready to hit his climax and playing and nearing his prime, and LeBron just coming into the league,
Right.
And so it's kind of just that observation of being able to get all of them on one venue, one facility, stuff like that. So he gets to Charlotte, and he made the right moves early on, like as far as, okay, we're going to get rid of the Bobcats. We're going to bring it back to what it was. Yeah. We're going to give it like this new look. We're going to do, the different branding. But it's like the players just weren't playing it out right. Like Kemba was literally playing 1 against 5 every night.
Right.
There was no real help that he had. And it was like as soon as he left, his career went everywhere but to that better point. And like with a lot of guys in the NBA now, us as fans, we get it. These guys in there in 10 years, like some of them are clips in 10 years easily, and he's one of them. So like now you're sitting here where you got damaged goods in Gordon Hayward, you got PJ Washington, who is still in his early part of his career. You got LaMelo, that's the next thing smoking. But LaMelo, if the option comes up for him to go, he's out. Because
no doubt.
Yeah, because there's nothing unless there's some major incentive of keeping me in Charlotte. No, not seeing it. I'm very interested to see how the Miles Bridges part comes up.
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be coming back. How will he fit in with the team? On a lighter note, has he learned his lessons? Stuff like that. Just trying to observe that playing out. And then just looking at the rest of the role players on the team and just getting, because the thing about it that's funny is the East is not, it's competitive, but it's not aggressive now.
Right.
Because now that you got Harden who wants to leave.
Right.
Which him going to Houston still to me is weird, only because if he goes to Houston, it's like John Wall 2.0.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the older guy, and you got all these young cats that's like, unless you can get them to play at a high level, you're not getting Clint Capella, you're not getting Christian Wood. They all gone. Everybody's like doing their
We all know why Harden wants to go back to Houston.
Oh, for the party life.
Big bag.
Yeah, the big bag of
baby and them strip clubs.
Right. Get that party life out the way. Right. Absolutely. So yeah, that's all I got for Jordan. Hopefully, like I said, I just hope if he's doing anything now, it's just more behind the scenes and just out of the way, because he doesn't need to be the hands-on part for him. It won't. I won't too impressed, but that was just how it played out how it did. We are a little over a month away from most teams already doing OTAs. We're shifting out of football. I know y'all probably like, dang, you spend 45 minutes plus on basketball, but hey, it is what it is. It would have been more, but no, I want to hop into football a little bit, or a good amount. Thoughts on the Ravens finally making a decision? Big trust.
Well, big trust got a big bag, and I think it was a fair deal.
Yes.
But the thing that really bothered me was everybody's like, oh, Lamar needs an agent. He can't do it without an agent.
Right.
But if you think about it, we saw Richard Sherman negotiate all these contracts without an agent, traditional agent.
Yeah.
We've seen so many dudes do it, but I think Lamar in recent history might have been like the biggest name to not have a traditional agent.
Right.
Which is cool because what do agents get, like 3 to 5%?
Mm-hmm.
So technically he's saying his mom is his agent, so she's going to get that 3 to 5%. Okay, cool.
Right.
Personally, I don't have a problem with it. I don't see a problem with it. I just wanted the deal to get done because we all knew it was going to be a big number.
Yeah.
That's one. Two, I am so happy the Ravens are finally, thank you, football gods, paying attention to the wide receivers.
Right.
Because it's like the Ravens would get into this thing in the draft where they just pick up tight ends and defensive guys from the SEC.
Right.
But now with like Eric DaCosta, you kind of see him being aggressive with the trades, like how we ended up with Marcus Peters, even though we know he's gone now.
Yeah.
Trading for, oh my gosh, Roquan Smith. That side of DaCosta I do like. I like how he's been so active in free agency and whatnot. As Ravens fan number one, if we stay healthy, I think this could be the year. This could be it.
Y'all can give
a deep playoff run. I'll say. I'm not gonna go Super Bowl.
I was about to say.
I'm gonna say deep playoff run.
Because I want to. So two things. One, because I think what everyone did was gave Lamar hell about the playoff resume.
Right.
And this is okay. So this is the moderator side of me coming back again. I think that was where everything would get misinterpreted with the group, because everyone would come in would be so statistically oriented, but they would be so aggressive that the delivery wouldn't hit right. And I'm sitting here like, you're making your point, but you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
So, because I think, and it's funny because like going back to that, it would either be a public post to the whole group, or it would be me coming into a comment and I'm just looking at it like, this is not going to end well because once I've said what I've said, I'm like, y'all can have whatever y'all want to have about it, but either one or two things is going to happen. Either the whole post comes down or I will mute notifications.
Right.
But I say all of that because his resume is going to be like, that was the talk of the town with getting the money. But even outside of that, he did his job. He played at a high level. Can I see him giving Mahomes a run? It's gonna be a tall order. But on the same token, it's like Buffalo and Cincinnati concern me a little bit. And the only reason I say they concern me is because Cincinnati always seems to show up and get near that point, but not near can hit the finish line. Right. And then Buffalo's in a unique crisis because everybody trying to figure out what Stephon Diggs going to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost goes back to my social media rant that I've had on the podcast numerous times, where if an athlete posts something or they don't post something, it's a story.
Right.
Which sometimes I'm like, okay, we got a story, but it's like, give us some context. It's like, if you're not going to add any context to it, or you don't have a source, you don't have anything that's reliable, don't just take a screenshot of what somebody put on the story and said, oh, well, they said this, so this must mean that they want out. And it's like, let the story play out. Like, I get everyone wants to be the person to break the story, but sometimes breaking the story ain't all it's cracked up to be.
You can see that within our group. The second something major happens, it's like 4 or 5 different posts. Mm-hmm. And it used to be like either you or me, and whoever posts first, the second person would delete it. But now it's just like
they sit,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like no one's really, because now, and I think that's why I've done if you notice, I've done something a little different now. If there is a big story that happens, I change the cover photo first, and then I'll put the story. So that way, if somebody comes in, unless you just didn't see the cover notification, then you're going to look at it and be like, all right, I'm just going to add my story. Like, if you don't add your story and you didn't look at the photo, I'm like, so that means we weren't paying attention today. It's okay. Right. We had those days, but just, again, read the room. Just look at what's going on and then make your decision. So trying to get people to be more aware of that has been, like, a big thing for me. But, I've learned now, like, even down to the Bradley Beal story. And I'm always trying to make sure I can either find, it's like a mixed bag. On one hand, I'm like, do I find a good photo or do I turn into a designer and like design something real quick and like either Illustrator or Procreate? If I can create it quick enough, cool. If not, y'all find something, y'all go for it. But yeah, the group can be a little extra with that one. I don't want to talk about Carolina this year because I don't know what we're doing. Like I'm glad we got the quarterback. We're doing our thing. Everything's going to kind of flow accordingly on that level.
Right.
I accepted it a couple years ago. Cam's not the answer. Cam's best run was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It paid him. Okay, and this is not a conspiracy theory. This is just my open dialogue. Cam got the MVP, made the Super Bowl, the same year made the Super Bowl run. When it got knocked off, Carolina said, hey, this is our way of saying we appreciate you, we're going to give you this money. The money was beneficial to him on the fact that it helped him not only invest, but learn business.
Right.
And I think that's why now, between his Freaky Fridays that he's doing for his podcast, between the cameos he's done between both I Am Athlete and The Pivot, that's a whole podcast we could do by itself about that interesting split between those two. But all of that being said, like when Cam got that opportunity, that was where he kind of saw it, where, okay, I got to turn my eye from the football side and turn to how I can make and I won't even say generational wealth, but just how to make sure it's paid forward in the right manner.
Right.
Now it's basically, like you said earlier, Carolina just has to learn how to fill the right pieces, getting a good wide receiver, quarterbacks are getting shorter, and you need decent O-lines. Like Kyler Murray did not have the most phenomenal season with injuries because his O-line was shit.
Right.
Let's just call it, I think that's why going off topic but on topic, I think that's why I'm always selective of how I talk about sports, because sometimes there's certain things that it's like, they can't say this on TV. I technically can't, but I can because it's like, it's right here in front of you. Like, exactly. The role of quarterback has changed a lot because guys are, you have an adjustment in players and guys are getting faster. My prime example I always go to, Vic running the pitch option when I was a senior in high school. Everybody wanted to go to Virginia Tech. They're like, oh man, Vic, blah, 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 he gonna be so nice. I was like, I'm telling you now, that pitch option is not gonna work in Atlanta. Right. They're gonna lay him out because you got linemen running a less than a 5.40 easily. And it's like, they don't care. They'll lay you right on out. And he caught that reality. But I say all that just to say, I could see Carolina winning maybe 6 games, maybe 7 games. And then I'm having to remember, because now it's like a 17-game season. Yeah. Yeah, I would still say 6-11, 7-10.
It wouldn't have been as bad. If I'm not mistaken, I think y'all just had, who's your cornerback? Either one of the corners or the safety. He's pretty good. Yeah. I think he may be out for the year. Right. And then the DJ Moore trade, that was sickening. Because if you know you're going to draft this quarterback, you have to get him weapons. And what better weapon to have than DJ Moore? And the DJ, you know why they let him go. Yeah. That when that drop happened, that was like, oh my God, he's had such. And I was like, you know how many wide receivers drop passes on a regular basis? Hopkins, what do you think's gonna go on with Hopkins if he was to take a chance? You would like him. Obviously you want him in Baltimore if y'all could do it, but absolutely, absolutely. I tell you one place I don't want to see him go. I know he was supposed to take a visit to New England. I can't see D-Hop in New England. I think at his age, he might be in a mindset where, okay, I want to go somewhere where I can get a decent amount of money, but I also need a legit quarterback. Right. And there's not too many places where you can really go and do that. He was linked to the Chiefs, which I definitely don't want to see happen. Yeah, if you go to the Chiefs, that's an ultimate. I'm tired of the rich getting richer. I'm so sick of them. But the thing is, this rewinding back to the Super Bowl and looking at it, Philly could have coasted that pretty good. Yeah. But I think Philly got lazy and just kind of let them roll through it. Maybe this Rihanna halftime performance blindsided them. I don't know.
But in theory, it was just like you gotta finish it, and you can't give. It's almost like giving Mahomes that much leeway was just no different than giving Brady any amount of time to like, oh, let me make this run real quick. So it's the same thing. What was I about to say? I got another. D-Hop in New England would be unique only because of the fact that Belichick, despite how how all over the place he does stuff, he generates structure for a lot of players that's beneficial. It's just a trade-off to it because you're locked into like the Patriot way.
Right.
If you have not listened to it, listen to the podcast of, I think it was on I Am Athlete, where Cam was breaking down like how New England does things. And when I realized that, I'm like, that explains why like a lot of players, like when Chad Ochocinco got there, it was a different dynamic. Yeah. When T.O. was there, it was a different dynamic. When Randy Moss was there, saying all of them you can see it from how they played. It was like, yeah, you got to do it this, and this, and it's like, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I can see it. Early projections on who you think might be the Super Bowl favorite, other than the obvious.
AFC. I'm going to leave my Ravens out of it.
Okay.
AFC. The Chiefs once again.
Okay.
And I don't want to say it, but I have to be realistic. The Bengals.
Okay.
I can't see Buffalo because of the Diggs situation.
Right.
Which we don't know why he's upset this time. You got everything you wanted. Buffalo still doesn't have a run game. Buffalo lost some defensive pieces.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, don't get me started on Justin Herbert. I am Justin Herbert hater number one.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
He's done zero. So I'll say this. It's because of the Lamar contract thing.
Okay.
So you see these top quarterback lists.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Lamar is at the bottom of all these lists.
Right.
Now, if you're going to put Burrow and Josh Allen over Lamar, I don't like it, but I can accept that. And I probably could find ways to justify that.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, you are not going to tell me this dude is better than Lamar Jackson. No, absolutely. He can't get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But when they did, we saw what happened in that game with the Raiders. They goofed it all up.
Yeah.
Between Herbert and their coach going for 2 points. No.
Right.
No.
Got you.
I'm not buying that.
Okay.
So we want to put a guy who just barely squeaked in the playoffs over a unanimous MVP.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
But I mean, you know without knowing it, like it's sometimes there's red tape in this politics with the NFL. Like, I think what's so interesting, like I know I keep bringing them up, but like the Pivot and I Am Athlete both were bringing a more clear, and I thought even when they had the group together, the original I Am Athlete, they were trying to bring the awareness to kind of like, look, this is the reality of the NFL. Yeah. Like, you gotta call it for what it is, and it's like, you know how the sport plays itself out, and it's not even to just throw it. It's not even to just throw it as a racial thing, because that's not how I'm looking at it solely. But I'm also looking at it as if a sport, and this is not just football, if a sport wants a player to do well or show up to look like they're doing well, they can manipulate it to look like they're doing well. Right. If the NBA could find a way to do it, they could make it so that LeBron could win multiple MVPs. Yep. It's plain and simple. But you also have to look at it as if other players are playing better basketball, that's what you got to put out there. Same with football. Like football, we got our good view of Peyton. We got our good view of Tom. We got our good view of Ben. All of them did what they did. It's a new era of football. Right. You have more court. You have a lot more mobile quarterbacks who are doing much more of who are making a much bigger impact on the game. So I can go with that. So you got those two for the AFC.
Yeah, that's AFC. NFC, I don't know how Philly did it, but Philly lost so many players and replaced them with somebody that's equal or better. all the while staying within the cap.
Right.
So like Philly. Who else in the NFC? Really, I can't think of anybody else. I think Philly is top dog in the NFC
right
this year.
Yeah, because I think what gets me so frustrated, so too, like with the NFC, it's always funny because I just don't understand what Dallas be doing.
Right.
And it's not even like a Dallas hating thing. It's just more of like, what is that? What are y'all doing? Y'all sit here and like, you let Zeke go. Mm-hmm. Zeke just sitting. No one's even touching Ezekiel Elliott right now, which is like, just what? Why? Like, what did he do to y'all that made it to become like we don't want to pay him, but we ain't trying to give out the money.
Right.
So between that and, I mean, I'm not going to lie, our division concerns me this year. Because, you know what, and I can say this, I think Atlanta might win the division.
And that's how I was thinking of it. I'm looking at each division, and I'm like, okay, who, out of the people who I think could win the division,
right?
Like, which one of them could match up to Philly?
Yeah.
And I don't, like the NFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Who, San Fran, quarterback issues. But the rest of the team, okay, cool.
Yeah.
NFC East, I mean, Dallas is not going to ride with Philly. The Giants are still in that stage where they're like ascending.
They're trying to figure it out because after they pull after they got that coach from the Belichick tree.
Brian Dable.
Yeah. They just ain't because before him when they had Judge, I was like,
my gosh.
Judge, it was like, and I'll be honest, I usually don't watch a lot of press conferences, but I watched his. He looked like a deer in headlights up there. I was like, bro, you don't know what's going on,
right?
But they gave him a shot. And then it didn't benefit him because you had Saquon hurt most of your run. So yeah, and I mean, sure you could say New Orleans, but I'm like, I don't know about
that one. I could see why people would say that. You got Derek Carr, Chris Olave, you got MT coming back,
right?
Kamara. I mean, and the defense is just awesome.
Yeah.
I could see that, but I think a team in the NFC that will surprise some people is the Lions.
Yeah, right.
They're going to surprise some folks. We saw it last year.
Yeah,
but just now you even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's, I mean, in their case, it kind of works for them more than anything because Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is going to do just fine for the regular season, but then playoffs, who knows?
Don't forget those Monday nights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. And Chicago's still in their identity crisis, in my opinion. Right. I'll ask. This will be my closing question with this part, and then we're going to do we'll do my famous wrap up. You're given the opportunity to see every Jets game this upcoming season. I give you tickets. I got you covered for the whole. You got season tickets all on home and away. You see Aaron Rodgers play. What do you think their record would be, and how do you think he's personally going to look playing for the Jets this year?
Oh, record? I think the Jets will win. They're not going to win under 12 games.
Really?
Yeah. This is how I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers supporter. That's my guy.
Okay.
So we look at Aaron Rodgers, I'll say the last 4 or 5 years in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
We know he won 2 MVPs, but he kind of looked miserable. So now you're with the Jets, these young guys, and now you got him at like Taylor Swift concerts. You got him at basketball games.
He outside.
He outside.
Yeah, right.
In the club dancing. So it seems like he's lighting up. And then I'm looking at who he's surrounded with. I mean, I said this in the group. The Jets have turned into the New York Packers. They have, 5, 6 dudes from the Packers.
They was able to pull it off. Yeah. Right.
You got Lazard. You already had Wilson. I can't remember the other receiver with the Jets, but he was decent.
Mm-hmm. You
got your running back, Breece Hall, a young guy. Nasty defense.
Right.
Offensive line is pretty good. I mean, it's set up for them to win.
So he just gotta go. So he gotta give it his all on the field. I mean, it's a matter of, and I don't want to bring this up, but we talked about it earlier with basketball health. Yeah. As long as he's able to stay fully healthy and not because the consistent X factor with football that I've noticed personally, and I can say this probably being valid over the last 25 years, your offensive line. Yeah. If you have a decent or solid O-line, you're good. Like, I don't think, I mean, I'm showing my age. Fuck it. I'm thinking of like players like John Elway. I'm thinking of like those quarterbacks from that time frame and then kind of transitioning like the Steve Youngs, the Joe Montana. Mm-hmm. Them guys had like O-lines that literally kept them stable. So like if you got, and this is literally like a tale of two teams. Peyton's O-line were god tier, in my opinion. Eli's O-lines were trash. Yeah. Because literally Eli would get, as soon as Eli would say hike, they weren't even, it would almost be like one Mississippi hit. It wasn't even a 5 Mississippi chance. Right. And if you had that type of a line, it plays a big part because certain guys like Dallas can do everything they can to build a line for Dak, but if Dak ain't throwing the ball right, it don't matter. I'm bringing it back to Aaron. If they keep him upright and keep him in the pocket good enough, because for a fact he ain't running the ball. It don't need to. He's not. He's relying on his arm to get him through to begin with, so he's good on that level. Now it's just a matter of them trying to get like the key wins and like playing and showing up where it matters.
So I said 12 wins, right? Mm-hmm. But when we go back to, like I said, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, he had a couple of 13-win seasons. Right. With that squad that was offensively okay, but defensively they were terrible. Right. So, but now he's got a balance. He's got a much better defense. He's got some good offensive weapons. I think 12 wins is fair.
Okay. As long as, and then the other obvious factor, coaching, because a coach, it's so funny. A coach can coach themselves into being a coach another year, and then coach themselves right out of a job. Exactly. What's my guy's name from? He was with Cleveland. Hugh Jackson. Oh my God! I felt so bad for him. Yeah, I really felt bad for him because it was like, yo, it's the Browns. What are our expectations here? Exactly. Like, you're sitting here ready to put this man, like, man, yeah, he just had a rough season. I'm like, the Browns have had 30 quarterbacks in, like, God knows how many years. Every time I haven't looked at the picture, but there's a picture, I don't know if you've ever seen it, where they show it's a Tim Couch jersey for the Browns.
Oh, with the names of every starting quarterback on it. They have no space.
That joint, it's gotten so bad where it almost was like the page done extended to like a separate area. I'm like, this is the most creative yet craziest thing I've ever seen.
Even with that point, let's go back to Aaron Rodgers one more time. Think about it. The Packers over the last 30 years have had not only two quarterbacks, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Right. MVPs, both of them, and Super Bowl.
And both won the Super Bowl, yeah. Yeah. And I will admit, like, outside of Brett's little bull BS with Mississippi and all that, Brett had a pretty solid career. I mean, he didn't get, granted he would break some of the most interesting, like, he was reminding me of how much ESPN would reach with stats, because it would be like, he has the most times being sacked as a quarterback in history. And I was like, what? That's a stat? How do we... Who's keeping up with this? But between him, like I said, he did his job there. And then I just thought it was funny because I think I brought it up when they said he was going to the Jets. I was like, you're doing the same thing that Brett, that Favre did. I'm like, I just hope he don't go there and then suddenly decide, oh, I'm going to go to the Vikings. I'm like,
that's when it'll get a little weird.
Yeah, because then it's like, all right, do we have our own thing? What are we trying to do? Like, who are we following? All right, so we've clipped the hour mark and got the room. We're gonna this is our closing, and it feels good because we hopped into like a fair amount of topics. Like this, like I said, this one will be. Because I know most people probably like, oh man, you're not going to give any tech updates. I don't want to talk about iOS. I don't. Right now, I'm sitting here now mentally trying to figure out if I want to buy another pair of AirPods, but that's another conversation. No, because to give a tech story without it being a tech story, my right earbud with my AirPods, when I put it in the charger, it'll be like, nope, I don't want to charge. And I'm like, so does this mean it's the case? Does this mean it's the AirPod? And, of course, Apple is real finicky where they're like, oh, you're not under warranty and all this other stuff. And then it's also like, because I found it, it's a website I found, which I might have promoted it on here before. They're called like Right EarPods, and they pretty much sell like single individual earbuds for like AirPods, Beats, if you're like, oh, I'm missing one, they'll sell you just the individual one. And I was like, yeah, I could buy that, or if I need to buy the case, they sell the case as well. But I'm like, I don't even know how to troubleshoot it, so I'm just like, maybe it might be time, because I've had those for like 5 years. So
you know what's crazy about that? My left AirPod won't go past 80% for some reason.
That's crazy.
The right one, it
charge it fully. Yeah.
It's just that when I open them up to connect to my phone while I'm at work, trying to listen to different podcasts, it's stuck at 80. I don't get it. The only thing that I'm thinking of, because I've done this, I found myself doing this a lot lately, is that I do wear one specific earbud at a time. So if you're primarily wearing the left one, that could be why, but it still doesn't justify the action, because it's the same thing. Like when I'm at work, because of how I sit, I always put it in this ear, because I'm like, y'all can't see it. And even if you do, it's not like I'm still able to listen, but I'm wondering if that's the case. But on the same token, I'm like, I've had these, like it's time, but it's also like, I don't want to spend money if I don't have to. So just kind of thinking ahead. So yeah, that's my tech tip for y'all. If you do want to troubleshoot what you can. But if you think it's gonna be too much, don't say. If it's too much, spend properly. And if you don't feel like then urgent buy, don't, just wait. So the end of the show, as you've been a devoted listener among many of my other friends, and I appreciate it by far. Because we were talking about that a couple of days ago. Because you said, man, you said when we do this podcast, it's gonna be all over the place, and it was, but it was still it was structured even without me having I had nothing written down at all. Organized chaos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's super organized chaos. Because I said, how am I gonna do this format? And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw some topics out there. So, ending of the show, of course, pass the message you want to leave with the listeners. Message can be related to anything about life, sports, whatever the case may be. It's your time to share it with the listeners.
I'll be very, very brief.
Okay.
Support your friends. If you have a friend, like for example, how you just said that I support you with your podcast.
Yeah.
A listen could mean so much.
Right.
Go on whatever platform you're using to rate the podcast. Leave a comment. Or if your friend has a business, which one of my friends does, I have never asked him for a discount. He's given me stuff, but I've never asked for it. I'm willing to pay regular price because I know when I go to whatever other store, I have to pay regular price. Right. So the message is support your friends.
Nice. So I like that. Like you're naturally, you've been doing this podcast thing. So this is resurrecting the podcast vibe to come back, I see. Yeah. I love it. Well, one, thanks for hopping in and doing this show, because we, as we've said without saying, we've been talking about this for at least, because I've been doing the show 7 years. Still unreal.
300 episodes. Almost. Let's be a little extra. Almost 400 episodes, and I'm just now getting on.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
And it was, and the thing that's crazy is I think it was because my show has gone through put it this way, everyone hears the finished product, but a lot of people don't think of so many of the behind the scenes intangibles of trying to find places to record, trying to make sure I'm getting the right content. My content has gone every direction, but now I'm I've got more control of it. So now that I'm getting to that point where I'm if I talk sports, cool. If I don't, I'm not oh my God, this would be the worst show ever. Now I can let it be hey, if somebody comes on and we talk sports, they don't know they're doing this yet, but I have someone who I'm gonna get to come on, and we're gonna kind of have like it'll be a return show, but it's gonna be from a different angle because of some things he experienced recently, and you may know about it. A local story that happened last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna unpack how we deal with how trauma can be put to the wayside unknowingly, and we're just gonna kind of have like a free fall with that a little bit. But we'll talk. No, I'll share more of that offline. But yeah, man, I'm glad. I know it. Like I said, close to 400 episodes finally on, and as you know, and as I don't have to tell you, this ain't the last show. You know, if it's a day that I can do it, now that I got like a functioning Monday through Friday joint, I can be like, yo, I'm here. Let's make it happen. Because now it's more of a, like, as you saw, we rocked out an hour and some change like easily. So yeah, I think now I'm learning how to make this not be as stressful anymore. Because at first it wasn't that it was as stressful, but I think now I'm just like, all right, what are some things that I want to talk about? What are things that I think can draw people's attention? And that's pretty much what I've been able to get to be content. So yeah, supporting a friend, super golden, super valid. My message today, I think I've said this on the show before, because this is like my tech trigger of all time. Keep your damn phone charged. And I'm going to say why this is important. It's not about, we all do it. We all record videos. We all talk on our phones. We all do different things. I got no problem with any of those things. The problem that I have, or the issue that I run into, is anyone who has children, anyone that's running a business. One of my friends, we've had this running, I didn't even say it's a running joke, but it's an actual authentic conversation of which is worse. And this is, you have the phone on, obviously. A person who doesn't have a voicemail set up, or a person who has a full mailbox. Two of the worst. Cause both of them, it's like a one hand fighting the other. It's like, they both hurt. But to trump both of those, if I call you and it just goes straight to voicemail, and it's because your phone died, or if I text you and I'm not an Android versus iPhone person. I despise it, because I'm to the point now where, as a developer, it's like the developer can control what you see now, and we don't understand it. But you can text someone with an iPhone, and you send it to their phone, and you like, oh, it said it's delivered. Why is it not delivered? And then it shows up as a text message, and you're like, your phone died. And you're just like, well, how am I? Okay. And I get it, things happen, so I'm not like downplaying it, because some circumstances will cause that to occur. But when it's like you're a parent, when it's a more urgent situation, keep your phone. Like, Five Below literally sells power banks that now will charge USB-C. Like, they got it where it comes with a USB-C to USB-C cable, but you can buy like a little USB-C to Lightning cable and keep your phone charged. It is not that complicated. Like, I'm usually carrying power banks with me all the time. I've stopped. I don't do it if I don't have to, because usually if I'm out and about, like I'm going in my car, so I can just charge from there. Like right now, 93%. And most folks be looking at me like, you keep your joint charged that much? What you at?
99. I don't play those games.
Nah. I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm not, like I said, things happen, so I'm not taking that for granted. And I understand, like, the obvious sometimes can be, you go to sleep, you might forget to charge your phone, stuff like that. But yeah, my message for today is two-parter. One, keep your phone charged. Most of all, if you're not able to keep it charged, just buy an inexpensive power bank. Just go to right now. I'm pushing people, and it ain't just I'm not a paid sponsor by them at all. But Anchor has this power bank. It's like a 5,000 milliamp, and you basically it looks like a a lipstick, but it's a little bit larger. It's like it's boxed, but it's like a long. It looks because it's similar to the one that they had before, and on the end of it is USB-C, so you can plug in any USB-C device. The advantage of it is you can plug if you need to charge the charger itself. Plug it. It literally has a part that flips open. Plug it into the wall, and you can charge. So I personally love that charger just for that feature alone. It's probably about 20 or 30. It's like maybe about $30, but it's a good investment. So I'm just getting more people to be more aware. Like, and if you don't want to spend that much money, just go somewhere and get like a simple USB charger to just have on you. And obviously, to add to that, keep that charged or keep that fully charged because you just don't know where you're going to be if you're like stuck somewhere and you need to like keep your phone. I've just had like so many tangents and so many conversations about the phone thing and not keeping it charged because I've just seen people be out and they're like, "Hey, I ain't got no phone. I ain't got no battery on my phone. It's dead. Can I make a call?" And I'm like, "So you gonna use my phone to call somebody? They're not gonna answer, and they're gonna call back and come back on my phone, and I gotta sit here and be like, I don't know who that is. Too much to go through." So that's my message I'm passing along. Keep your phones, and you only got to keep it at 100%. Like you can keep it if it's at least 50%, and if you drink now, this is probably gonna be the triggering part, and I might lose some listeners, and that's okay. If you're draining your phone due to social media, due to what I call doom scrolling, due to playing a game online because some people don't know this. If you play certain games on your phone, they don't show you your battery percentage on purpose. Mm-hmm. So you have to the only way you will see it is you got to swipe down and then, oh, that's my battery. How much I got left? Developers know what they're doing. And we as consumers have to be aware of that. Whole different podcast. I know I always say it all the time, but I don't want to dominate this passing message. So, but going back to your point, yeah, definitely support your friends, and I appreciate you supporting and being we've literally been like Taylor Gang family from day one because sure. we've talked it out and hashed out about so much of life and just pressing through everything. So, like I said, come back on the show. It's an open door, open seat policy. Hopefully next time, all things considered, I may be at a different event because I really want to get a place to start recording. I don't want to record. I don't want to go to anybody's mainstream studio. I'm not pressed about that. I just want a place that is like, look, I can go in here. I know ain't nobody gonna be here on this time or this day, and I can just go in there, record, and get out. Right. So that's what I have. Do you want to? It's up to you. If you don't want to, I understand. Do you want to do any social plugs?
Well, since we're at it, it's also speaking of support your friends. So a lot of people know I've been getting into juicing now. Mm-hmm. So now my TikTok and my Instagram have turned into basically juicing pages. Okay. So you can follow me on both platforms, TikTok and Instagram at Uncle Nahshon. Mm-hmm. Uncle spelled the right way, Nahshon spelled Nahshon. Okay. It's all together. Okay. And don't just follow just to be following. Like some stuff, comment, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Engagement is golden. I think people sleep on how important it is to engage with people's pages, especially despite how the algorithm doesn't care. Because someone posted a video and I don't even want to see it because they're like, the algorithm changed again on Instagram. I'm like, what else is new? But adding to that, repurposing content, sharing information is always helpful. So yeah, continue sharing. I'm going to talk with you soon because I am going to look to start doing some juicing options because I am working through this whole workout thing and it's like we're beefing, but we're going to get through this. So, but yeah, man, again, I appreciate you being on. I could sit here, I literally could throw baseball as a wild card of a funny conversation because I went to the Squirrels game last week, but we'll save that for later.
I see.
Yeah, that was, so I'll say this about it. And I know I was I'm getting ready to wrap up, but I want to share this. Being at a baseball game, you have a different respect for baseball in the process of going to a game. The thing that I tell anybody, hands down, is there are a lot of things and a lot of rules, important parts of baseball, but the one rule, and if I ever go to a game with somebody, it almost goes back to my phone thing again. If you're coming to a baseball game, you should not have your phone at all. Only time you really can use your phone is during, like, when they change the side. Yeah. But, like, the actual game, man, they will hit. It's like pop up balls. The joint could just be you looking. It's like, all right, which way did it go? I'm looking all in the sky and it ain't even near me. But yeah, that's really my biggest thing with. Because I mean, I didn't expect to use my phone much during the game anyway. But then you got folks that'll sit there and it's like, oh, I'm going live. I'm like, here we go. Oh. Why? You do not need to go live at a squirrel. Nothing against the squirrels, but not a squirrels game. No, not necessary. So that's my spiel on that. But yeah, man, again, I appreciate you being on. Not gonna be the last. Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, you already know this is only the beginning because we're gonna have some real deal conversations. Okay. Like I said, we just did this to kind of like break the ice and be like, all right, get you back into it. Maybe if you think of wanting to join the podcast community again, you know. But yeah, I will catch y'all on the next one next week. What am I talking about next week? Because I don't even know what's going on because there's really not been much excitement. I think if I'm remembering right, I think the draft is coming up soon. If it's not this coming week, I think it's next week. Soon we'll have the draft coming up. Probably be getting y'all prepared for football. Fingers crossed. I'm not promising y'all because I haven't done it in a while. I may start doing my weekly picks again because the last time I did it, it was painful, but I tried. It was not the best because every week I missed everything. I was like, I don't know nothing. It's like we ain't doing too good with this, so might be bringing that back. But until next time, this is The Pass. This is Nahshon, and I will be back with y'all again next week. Y'all take it easy. Another episode is completed. Thank you all for listening. If you want to check out the podcast, you can go to buzzsprout.com. If you're looking to do podcasts, you can go to buzzsprout.com. To get to my podcast, you'll go to thepastbtpod.buzzsprout.com. If you're looking at getting a microphone, I always suggest getting the Blue Yeti X. That is the microphone that I use. If you're starting off and you need something more affordable, Samsung Meteor, it's a worthwhile investment. And there are other microphones that are going to be simple enough. My big suggestion I tell everyone whenever looking for a microphone, be sure that your microphone has the ability to have you listen to your audio or listen to yourself as you're talking. It will make a big difference in your editing and your podcast. Also, most importantly, and I tell people this is a tip offline, but I'm giving this in the final listen or at the end of the show. Drink water while recording, and also just drink water in general. But drink water while you're recording, and the reason why, you'll be surprised. All right, see y'all on the next show.